Hey everybody, welcome. Thanks for joining us tonight. Yeah. I see I've got Pop and Brian are in the chat. Welcome. All right. I'm just going to post a reminder in Discord just to get people over here. But tonight I've got Doug Loshe. Did I pronounce that right, Doug?
Close.
Yeah.
It's Loshe.
Loshe.
And
Okay. Yeah. That was going to be one of my questions tonight. So I already got one of the questions answered, right? Doug Loshe tonight talking about his book Elsewhere. We're going to debrief a little bit about Lit RPG Con and talk about Dragon Con as well. So welcome, Doug. Thanks for joining. Yeah.
happy to be here.
Yeah. I ran into you at the con. You were hanging out in front of the Colorado Ballroom with Jay and Sour Patch Hero, right? And
Yeah.
you know, I had slugs, you had ribbons and bookmarks, and you know, we were having a good time talking with people and handing out loot. So yeah, it's good.
Yeah, that was a good spot to hand out loot.
Yeah. People, you catching people while they're picking up their badges is a good way to start a con. So, but I have been working on reading Elsewhere for the last week, doing a combo reading of Kindle Unlimited and listening on Audible. The narration is by James. Is it Chudham? Is that how you pronounce it?
Cheat 'em.
Cheatham. Okay. See, I'm just 0 for 2 so far. So, the story itself follows a fighter pilot who gets isekai'd elsewhere into a wilderness full of monsters and a bunch of other surprises. So we're going to dig into it. First, how would you prefer to be addressed at cons and in the podcast? Is Doug good?
Doug is fine.
Okay, awesome. And last name Loshe.
Yeah, it's one that almost no one gets right. I think I've counted 4 times in my entire life anyone's got it right the first time, and the 4th time was at Lit RPG Con.
Hey, we'll take it.
And
Yeah.
I stood there staring at the guy going, "How did you get it right the first time?"
Yeah. Well, it's a good segue into the book. So your main character's name, well, your main character is a duke, right? This is the ongoing joke, right? His call sign is Duke. He goes by
Yes.
Duke, and nobody in the world understands the name Duke. They keep mistaking him for a Duke, which is it's funny. But his real name is Andy. But in the whole book, he goes by Duke. Why Duke over Andy? What's the reasoning there?
Oh, the first part was because I wanted that joke.
Yeah, that's fair.
Second part, actually, it's a little bit of an homage back to when I first started reading Lit RPG. The first series I read was the Land series, and in that was preserve your name, come up with a different name.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, you know what, I'll steal that little bit as an homage back to the original. And Duke was a perfect call sign for someone named Andy Ellington, Duke Ellington, jazz fan.
Yeah. Okay. I love that. I love the callbacks to some of the, original series and just the genre, tropes and stuff. This is a good one. Yeah. The joke comes up a few times in book 1, and it's funny every time it comes up with a new group of people. It really points out the dissonance between, the new world, which is Isekai 2, and our world. So I've been really enjoying the book. Yeah, go ahead.
It gives him no end of frustration.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah, he gets irritated. I think part of it is that, and I'm assuming he's American. I don't think you exactly say, but I'm assuming it's part of that dissonance between like American freedom loving, no monarchy, no, none of that stuff, right? And then you've got this world that is embroiled in monarchy and kind of serfdom and all of the trappings of that sort of government. So it's a good separation of those two.
Yeah, it's fun to play in.
Yeah. Well, I have been enjoying the book. The main character is this fighter pilot, and if you watch like Top Gun or any of the fighter pilot movies, right, he's got that brash, like risk-taking, sort of fighter pilot mentality, and also this like grit of purpose. In some respects, sometimes the things he does is so stupid. I'm like, I kind of wish he'd just die because of this, because it's just, you're like, what are you doing, man? But he does power through a lot of it. Do you have any inspiration for Duke? Is there anybody in your life, or where did that come from? Do you know any fighter pilots?
Yeah, I don't know any fighter pilots. I do know a C-17 pilot, but that's not quite the same thing. Um, Duke, there's lots of pieces of me in Duke. You know, I am a veteran. I always wanted to fly, but I didn't have the eyes for it.
Hmm.
So that was a little bit of me in there. But you know, the funny thing is, I'll go back years ago to the Star Wars role playing game. You know,
Okay.
back in probably in the '90s. I'm dating myself a little bit more. And there was a character class called Brash Pilot. So you go into pilot, you are a brash pilot,
Hmm.
and it was fun to play. And I said, you know what, I'm going to steal that personality for Duke. You know, he's not a gentle person. He has a very strong sense of what's right and what's wrong, but he's definitely not afraid to do things the hard way or the permanent way.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you come for his people, he is coming for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you learn that pretty early on. He has a few people that he latches onto, and yeah, he protects them pretty with extreme force, you know. Um, and his style of just going after that next challenge that he really has no right to survive, um, and just kind of embracing it is it. Yeah, yeah. If I were his parent, I would be nervous.
Yeah,
So,
definitely situations he should not walk out of.
mhm, yeah. Well, he is a good example of like the overpowered main character energy. Like he's got that progression is there. He rapidly advances, gaining new skills and powers right away in the book, so you don't have to wait for it. Um, what I was worried about when I started the book was, he's got this array of powers that he gets, and I'm like, how is this author going to keep those powers relevant? How, is he going to remember them? Or are they just like free power that this guy's never going to use again? Um, and you do it. He uses them. They stay relevant. Each power at least gets a spotlight moment where it's important or used. How do you keep track of all that? And what was your reasoning there?
I wanted him to be different in a lot of ways. One of the ways is he doesn't rely on equipment, and that is something that a lot of books will focus on. And because it's very easy to give out stats for equipment and make that the focus, I wanted the focus to be entirely on him. So his abilities take that place, but he does have this massive list of abilities. And as books continue, he gains more and more, of course.
Hmm.
And even at one point, I think it might be in book 3, where he's lamenting, saying, I haven't used this ability in X amount of time. I really need to actually use this stuff intentionally and build up these individual pieces. So that is addressed. But to keep track of it all, I think at this point my spreadsheet is up to 40 different tabs.
I believe it. Yes. Yeah, yeah. At some point, we're gonna have to talk author to author and find out like what like the titles of your 40 different tabs are, because I think I'm up to 15, and I'm trying to imagine what else I might have tabbed out. But yeah,
Well,
that's a lot.
I'll share my what I find is the most amusing tab and almost one of the most frequently used. It's called loose ends and plot holes.
Hmm. Yep. Yep. I've got that too. I think there's some authors that leave those like the open quest that never gets complete, like we see that in the genre. And it's like a personal mission of mine of like every mystery will be solved by the end of my series. Maybe it will take 40 books, but we'll get there, right? Yeah. Yeah.
I
Well,
may not hit all of them, but I'm going to hit almost all of
yeah. Yeah, exactly. I see Kat is saying that she has the Star Wars RPG guidebook too still. Kat, did you
them.
ever
That's awesome.
play Brash Pilot? You'll have to put it in the chat.
Yeah,
Um,
unfortunately, I don't play much of anything anymore. I'm too busy, too busy writing or reading, but more writing than reading at this point.
yeah, I see in behind you, you've got a bookshelf full of. I'm assuming those are lit RPGs. The covers or the sides of them look like
Yeah,
it.
pretty much those 3 shelves are all lit RPGs, although I do have a big elsewhere section in there because I had to put them somewhere.
Yeah, yeah, yep. Got to have your own book on your shelf, right? I mean, that's just yeah, author 101, right?
Yeah, that's called the shelfie, right?
Yeah. Yes. All right. Well, your book has got this overpowered main character. It does have stakes though. I'm not going to give things away, but there's moments where people actually die. And when I was reading it, it kind of shocked me because we don't. I mean, yeah, sure, like people in the crowd die or whatever, like that happens in the genre. But you are not afraid to just kill people. Um, and so I wanted to ask you, like the book overall is more on the lighter side. You've got the comedy elements and, just kind of the, I want to say doofy sidekick characters, but you've got this like array of side characters that are pretty fun. Why make the stakes have that darker element to them? Can you tell us a little bit about why you included that or why you went that way?
Sure, sure. When I look at it, without the really hard struggle, the triumph isn't as strong. It's like, oh yeah, you won because you always win.
Yeah.
Without real stakes, it's gonna get flowery and it's not gonna hit for me. And that's part of how I like to write. I may write a lighter book down the line, a lighter series, but you gotta have, as that saying goes, you have to have darkness in order to see the light.
Hmm. Yeah, after that like juxtaposition of, this is what we're actually fighting for, folks. There's real consequences here. Yeah. Looks like Kyle's
And
joined us. So hi, Kyle. What were you gonna say, Doug?
and I will say that some of the things that happen, early, some of the harder things that happen earlier on are to essentially give the reader a, hey, you need to be ready for this stuff. If it's not for you, here's your out.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I wouldn't say that it's it's I certainly wouldn't classify the book as grimdark or like super dark literature. There's definitely stuff that's gorier, that's more violent, that's darker. But it's not just this like happy jaunt where, you know, it's like superpowers fighting and there's no blood and, no consequence. So, yeah. That particular moment also helps your character find like this is like purpose with a capital P, which is
Yes.
helpful too and helps drive the story as well. So yeah. All right. Well, this your first lit RPG? I know it's the first one that's out on Amazon as far as I can tell, but is this the first one you've written, or do you have like a stack of manuscripts in a drawer somewhere?
I started writing probably 2, maybe 3 years ago, and I'd get like 20, 30, even 40,000 words in, and I think, "Oh, this is utter trash."
Mm-hmm.
And I'd shelve it, start over again, or I'd just get stuck in this endless cycle of revision, rewrite, and I'd keep doing the same 15 chapters over and over and over again. And I was stuck doing that, and I was in a horrible place with it. And then it was at Dragon Con, I had a conversation with Ryan DeBruin, and he said, "Look, Doug, I've known you for a few years now. I know you're trying to write stuff. You just got to finish the first book. It's gonna be trash. Your first draft is trash. Don't worry about it. But you can go back, you can edit it, you can revise it, you can make it into a good book. You can't edit a blank page." And that to me was, oh, the big switch in the head saying, oh, just keep writing. Okay. So I did
Mm-hmm.
that. And eventually I started hopping it on Royal Road, completely doing it wrong. There's the
Of
whole
course,
guide
right?
on how
Yeah,
you're supposed to put things on Royal
yeah.
Road. I posted the prologue and first chapter. And then every 2 days I posted another chapter. But I was consistent. Every 2 days was another chapter all the way through like book 4.
Mm-hmm. Are you still posting on
So
Royal Road?
not currently, because book 5 is taking me a whole lot longer to write as I'm now in the very heavy editing, audio,
Yeah.
and release cycle for, the first 4 books.
Yeah, it does drag you down. I'm working on that one, Stumbling Up too, where I'm like still writing and trying to edit and get the audio ready. And yeah, it's just pulls at you in different directions. It's very hard. I don't know for how many people are on the call or on the podcast that are writers, but it's very hard to edit and write at the same time. Um, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm
So,
currently working with my editor on book three, get through book three, trying to write book five, and it's hard to jump back and forth out of that mindset.
mhm. Well, and I don't know about you, but I always have like um the instinct to be like, oh, I could like fix this now or change this. And at the point where you're working two books behind, it's you just kind of just need to fix the mistakes that are easy to fix and leave the rest of it. Yeah.
But it is amusing to find, oh, look, I did foreshadow that. I didn't remember that I did, but I did.
Good job, self.
Woohoo!
Yeah. No, that's awesome. That's great. Well, what advice would you give somebody who's got would you give Brian's advice to other folks, Ryan's advice to other folks about just put it down on paper? Would you tell people to go the Royal Road route? Would you tell them to wait and get a backlog before they go to Royal Road?
Absolutely, absolutely finish the first book. Write it out, get it done. Royal Road, I don't think it is what it used to be. I think it's gotten saturated and there's a consistent group, I think, that are hitting the rising stars because they have following and they're following the formula. Can you break into it? Yes, you can. Is it a lot harder than it used to be? I think so.
Yeah.
Will your book be pirated the moment it hits Royal Road? Yes, it will. And that to me is it puts a bad taste in my mouth. I know my book all the way through book four is already pirated.
Hmm.
It's a terrible thing,
Has that
but you
caused
can't
you
stop it at this point.
has that caused you any problems on like Amazon and stuff, or is it just more just loss of sales?
Yeah, it hasn't caused any problems with Amazon. I think they're well aware of it and they know they can't do anything really about it either.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's part of the problem in the digital age, right? Whether it's Royal Road or somebody's just, using software to strip, a
Yep.
digital copy of its, protection. It's a problem that all authors have to deal with these days. Yeah. All right. Well, let's get into some more questions here. So you've got a couple quarters of manuscripts in drawers, it sounds like. But you've only really started writing, you said 3, 4 years ago. Have you wanted to write, or what led you to wanting to pick up a keyboard and start writing?
Been reading forever and actually first had thoughts of writing when I was like in high school.
Hmm.
Maybe I could write some of this. And funny story is my college entrance essay included a couple chapters of a book because I wanted to get to their to their programs and it worked. I got into the program I wanted. Didn't go anywhere with it at all.
Was it like a writing program or English or anything like that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a special English program, but I actually wound up going to school for computer science and then saying, you know what, school's not the right thing for me right now. I left school, joined the army.
Okay. So you've had a kind of alternate path back to writing and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Are you in armed forces now? Are you a computer scientist, or what's your general profession?
I work in HR.
Mm, dun dun dun. Okay. No, that's good. All right.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
got.
after the army, I went back to school, got my degree, and went from there. Been
Mhm.
living in the corporate world for far too long.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. How hard is it to go to work every day with your book, with all the stuff that you're just going on with your book? Has that become harder and harder as you've had success?
I need more success to be able to not work anymore. So y'all get on that.
Hear that? If you
Um,
haven't bought elsewhere, go order it. Digital, audio, physical. Yeah.
honestly, I work from home, so I can get up, get ready, and work for an hour, hour and a half. on my writing, publishing, advertising, whatever it is I'm working on, and then go to work for 8, 9, 10 hours, and then sometime in the evening, if I still have energy left, I'll write.
Yeah. That's a brutal schedule. Um, how did you do it when you were posting every 2 days on Royal Road? Was it just tenacity? I mean, I guess at that point you weren't editing right out of the gate.
Yeah, I wasn't editing, and it was just the story kept flowing,
Hmm.
and I had my imposed deadline. I did build up a backlog,
Yeah.
so I had at least a 10 chapter backlog at all times. So if something happened, I was
You
fine.
had a
I
little
could get
buffer. Yeah.
by, and keeping my chapters 1,700 to 2,500 words. So if I could consistently write 1,000 words a day, I was okay.
Hmm. Yeah. Which, I mean, once you get into the rhythm of things, 1,000 words, at first when you start writing, that seems very intimidating. But, once you get in the flow in some of these stories and stuff, 1,000 words can just pass in a snap, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, especially when you hit dialogue.
Yeah. 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 Absolutely. Well, what made you decide to like hit the publish button, and take it to Amazon? And, yeah, what made you decide to go that route?
It was a wild whim. It was okay. I've got, a couple hundred consistent followers, slowly continuing to build up. But you know what? I'm not using Patreon, so I'm not making any money off it there. Why don't I try and put it on Amazon, see what happens?
Yeah.
And thankfully, it's done pretty well. So I'll keep continue to put them on Amazon.
Yeah. Has it has your audience grown as I think you've got 3 books out, or at least 2 books, and the third's on pre-order.
Yep.
Yeah. Has having more than one book kind of grown your audience in that way? Is that what people are looking for?
Yeah, I can see the difference between when I was just have one book. Now I have two. I imagine once the third is actually out in October, then I'll see the people. There are people who wait till, okay, I'm not starting anything till at least three.
Hmm.
I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
I get the third out,
Yeah.
and it puts pressure on me. Say, do I just want to just do I want to put it out earlier than my plan? No, stick to the plan. Stick to the plan.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes it's hard to hit that button. Yeah, Pop and I were talking about that today. He's now encountered a couple series that are in progress, and he's like, I've read some of the longer series that are almost done or done, and they're very satisfying. But I've in this one, I think it's Discount Dan. It's like got 2 books out, and he's like, I have to
Yep.
wait for the third book. What is this? But how long do you expect
And
your series to be? I know you've got 5 written, or you're working on 5 now.
yeah, I'm working on five. The original plan was for it to end at five. I'm probably 22,000 words into book five, and I'm not sure if I'll be able to end it in five. I don't want to rush the ending. I wanted to give it the time and the events it deserves. So I may go to six. I may be able to fit in five,
Hmm.
but I don't think it'll go beyond six. If there's anything beyond six, it'll be an after series or a side series.
Yeah, 6 sounds like a good number. It's a long series. These books are chunky, so you're not, it's not like it's not a thin book. I think the first one, I would be surprised if it wasn't at least 200,000 words.
It was only 190.
Well, okay, I was close, right? It's long. I was like
Yeah.
listening to it, and then I would read it, and then I listened to it. I'm like, wait a second, I'm only like 47% through. It is a longer book, satisfyingly, and yeah, I mean, like 6 books at 190,000 words each ish. That's substantial. So yeah, but you're not extending it out to 22 books. You're not going to be a Brandon
No,
Sanderson about it. No.
I can't do that.
Yeah.
To me, once a series gets to that length, there are so few that can carry the spirit of the series at that point.
Hmm.
It gets so hard, and I don't want to be stuck in that place where I'm not happy with what I'm writing.
Yeah. Yeah. You can tell, even on some of the like classic fantasy, series is there's some point where the authors lost their way and they're just
Yeah.
out
Are
on
they
a
writing? Are
tangent.
they writing a book or are they writing a paycheck?
Hmm.
I never want to be in that consideration.
Yeah, yeah. Kyle's asking, where did the inspiration for Elsewhere come from?
Everywhere. As I said, I've been reading lit RPG since probably 2016 or so, and there's everything I've read, and I was a voracious reader. Everything I read has some piece in there.
Hmm.
Even if it's unconsciously in there, it's in there. All kinds of sci-fi, fantasy before that. Dude, a lot of pieces are I wanted his two main abilities. I wanted to write those two main abilities, uh, and I don't want to spoil anything, but some things I do with them are kind of cool to
Yeah,
me.
yeah. Yeah, he's not afraid. I mean, that's one of the nice things about it is that the main character is not afraid to use his powers and think of ways to just kind of take them to the next level or evolve them or new tactics that the world hasn't seen. Yeah.
even
Well,
if, even if it gets a little brutal for the opposing side.
yeah, yeah. Winning by force is not. He doesn't care. He will do it. Yeah. Well, for you, are you a pantser or are you a planner? Did you have the end game in mind for the series when you wrote book one?
I I'm kind of in between because
Okay.
I'll have the beginning of a book and the end of a book in my mind and a couple of milestones that I want to hit in between. But everything beyond that, it's all discovery, and my characters go off on some fun tangents.
Hmm.
And if they want to explore this direction, I'm happy to run that direction. But I'm going to eventually bring it back to where the story has to go.
Yeah.
I've had the what I'll call the epilogue scene has been stuck in my head since the beginning,
Okay.
and I have been tempted to write it 1,000 times, and every time I said no. You're not allowed to write it until you finish the series.
You got to earn the right to write it. Is that the?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's the carrot. I love it. We'll get to some more fan questions here in a second. I've got one more of my own. I did hear a rumor that you've got another series rattling around in your head. Do you want to talk about that at all?
Oh, I've got dozens of series running in my head.
Yeah.
All right, I'll tell you about one that I thought of a while ago. It starts off on uh, another world, a magic-based world with its own system, but magic is dying. Magic is leaving the world, and it's leaving rapidly. So everybody with any significant amount of power is dying off because they can't sustain themselves without that magic. And the last resort for the entire world is we've got to escape. We've got to go somewhere else.
Hmm.
So they open a portal, and as they're trying to escape, the only ones who make it out are about 400 children.
Ooh.
And guess where they show up? On Earth.
Oh, if you're looking for magic, that's not a great
Yeah,
destination.
they were just looking to escape, and big to do of this 400 kids just showed up in the middle of I haven't decided where, maybe the Himalayas, I don't know.
Hmm.
But they all get it, big international thing. They all get adopted out over the world. As they age, the pieces of the system that came with them start to activate, and it starts to compete with the existing system for Earth, which is technology. So as these kids are starting to grow up mature, having system conflicts, their magic is starting to appear, and shenanigans ensue.
Hmm. That sounds fun. You kind of like super. Do you intend to like pick up when they're like teenagers or young adults, or is there like a time frame or age?
Yeah, I'm thinking more high school into college.
Okay.
I don't want to write a book from a child's perspective because it's not going to work for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I just started the beginning of Apocalypse Parenting, and I'm like, man, having super powered kids is is a rough deal. So yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Lance has a question here. He wants to know if you sell on Amazon or do you have your own website or do you like direct sales?
For now, it's only Amazon. One of these days, I will actually get websites stood up and be able to sell directly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy how being an author, there's the social media, there's the, email stuff, there's the, you know, the website and the direct sales and are you going wide and all the rest of it. It gets there's a lot there, especially when you've got a full-time job too. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a thousand skill sets that are beyond just author.
Hmm. Yeah. It's funny how much like writing the book is just kind of the first step. Then you get the tsunami of, okay, now you got to sell it and the rest of it. You're handing out swag at a con to strangers, right?
Hey, I have to say this. If not for my wife, I would have no swag. She is the swag master. You know,
Yeah.
keychains, bookmarks, everything. It's all her.
Yeah. Well, that brings, see, there you go. Yep. I remember you wearing that shirt. I think I have a picture of us in our shirts. So, yeah. Well, let's talk about Lit RPG Con and Dragon Con. You're coming to Dragon Con as well, right? Yeah.
Yes. Ooh, lost your audio there.
Yep, there's a mute button on my camera on my
Yeah, I try not to
on
hit
my
mine.
mic. Yeah. So for Lit RPG Con, give me a favorite moment of the day of the weekend or whatever, a favorite interaction.
How do I pick a favorite one?
Mm-hmm.
I being able just to hang around with other authors, fans, friends, that was me. Even standing outside conference room handing out swag, that was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I missed so many panels just because I was too busy hanging out with old and new friends, and it was just too much fun there. But I say the one panel that above everything else for me was the final Sunday, the end of the D&D campaign that I've been following the whole way through. That was pure magic.
Yeah. Was that the one with like Michael and Andy and KT and all of them?
Yeah,
Yeah.
with Jack DMing it. Yeah,
Yeah, yep. Yep. Yeah, that was pretty awesome. And I hadn't even followed that DM. Hadn't even followed that D&D campaign. It was really fun to see everybody just so in it.
yeah. Go back, watch them. They were worth it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. Well, for Dragon Con coming up, you were one of the authors that came with loot. You had your t-shirt, you had bookmarks, you had ribbons and stuff. Do you have anything planned for Dragon Con?
I'm bringing some books with me. Definitely bringing keychains. Got some ribbons. Have a few sets of car coasters,
Hmm, nice. Okay.
and I have no idea what my wife's working on, but she'll have some more stuff.
Are you gonna have to have like a separate suitcase for the loot or just
Yeah, it's
compress
a
it
good thing.
all?
It's a good thing I'm driving there.
Okay, yeah, you're lucky. I'm not sure. I drove to Lit RPG Con. I'm not sure how I'm gonna fit my stuff on a plane going to Atlanta. So, is there anything at Dragon Con that you're looking forward to?
For me, it's always going to be the people.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Yeah,
fair. The Weston Bar is a great place to hang out in. So, if anybody else is headed to Dragon Con, I think that's where normally the authors congregate. So,
yeah,
yeah,
yep.
yeah. Well, we've got a question from Kyle. If there's a subgenre in lit RPG that you live to write in besides your own, what would you love to write in?
I think I would have an awful lot of fun with a dungeon core,
Yeah. That was
especially if you've
actually
read
in
the
my
first
head.
book. You
That was
might
the
get
one I
that.
was thinking too, right? Yeah. Your series has dungeon elements in it and
Yes.
a sentient dungeon core. I think I can say that and not give too much away, but um, yeah, I can see where that would be appealing to you. Yeah.
Yeah, as the series goes on, dungeons become very very important to the series.
Yeah. Well, for our audience who's hanging out with us, Put in the chat what your subgenre of choice, if you could write in, what would it be? Whether or not you think you would ever write one. Let me know. All right, so where at DragonCon are you going to be hanging out?
Let's see. I'll definitely be in the vendor hall a lot because that's where my friends, the publishers, hang out,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of authors will hang out there. But various panels wherever I can find people. There's no. I'm not a big cosplayer, so I'm not going to be hanging out in the cosplay pit, as I call it.
Yeah, it's fun to watch the cosplay pit, but yeah, I'm not going to be cosplaying this year either. Yeah. Looks like Kyle is saying deck building would be their like subgenre of choice, and yeah, deck building would be fun too.
Yeah, and that's currently one of the hotter metas, if you will.
Yeah, Kyle, you've got to write your deck builder. Looks like Pop
There you
Pop
go.
also
Assignment.
wants some swag, so you're gonna have to save a car coaster for Pop Pop. We're gonna have to have a care package go out to Pop Pop after the con. Yeah. All right, who else has got some questions for Doug? You all have been kind of peppering them in, but here's your moment. What's a good question for Doug about Elsewhere, about his next series? Looks like Brian wants more game lit.
Okay.
It's an interesting span of dungeon core to deck building to game lit. Nobody's in agreement.
Well, that's one of the things that's so great about the genre is you can fit a whole lot of different things in it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it is pretty expansive. And Kyle wants a cozy slice of life mythic character series. Is that what you're writing,
Cozy
Kyle?
slice of life.
Yeah. And Pop Pop wants more
And Pop
crunch.
Pop
And
wants crunch.
yeah. It's funny because crunch is kind of going away to some extent. I think authors are getting savvy about trying to create books that maybe allow for crunch. So you've got uh, like the Welcome to the Multiverse, and where the crunch is like a
Exactly where I was
chapter that's
thinking.
put aside for the folks that want crunch, right? I think
Yep.
the ant one is it the colony.
Chrysalis.
So yeah, Chrysalis. I'm like, it's for the colony. Which one is that? Chrysalis, right? Is also doing that where the crunch is in specific spots that you can skip if you don't want it, or
Yep.
stick around if you do. So
Yeah, I think that's a great design for audio.
yeah,
So you can skip the chapter if you don't want to listen to it.
yeah, yeah. Brian's saying it's really interesting to take something like RPG gaming and incorporate it into the story when it's already so diverse. And that's I mean, that's the thing about lit RPG is you really don't have. I mean, we have a lot of fantasy backdrop, but you can really apply it to any subgenre of fantasy or sci-fi or any spec fic and get. I'm like, there's harem stuff out there. There's romance. I mean, whatever it is, you can just add the lit RPG elements to it. So. Yeah.
And Kyle, I think you're looking for Rise of the Guardians there.
Yeah, Kyle, have you read Rise of the Guardians?
At least watch
While
the movie.
while people are thinking about their questions, what was your gateway into lit RPG? What was the first book that you read, or first couple books that you read?
The very first book that brought me in was Divine Dungeon.
That was
Just
mine too.
happened
Yeah,
to stumble onto it, and it's like, oh, this is kind of cool. A book written from a dungeon's perspective. I like this. And from there, it was The Land, Emerelia, and then it just exploded to there's other things out there,
yeah,
and one after another.
yeah. It's funny because I read Divine Dungeon as well, and then The Land, and then I think I went to like Carrie Summers and what is it called? It was like
Stonehaven League.
yeah, the Stonehaven League. Yep. And then I found the Wandering Inn, and I got lost in that for a year or so. But yeah, it's amazing how you just that one gateway. I remember reading the synopsis, like not the synopsis, the blurb for Divine Dungeon or Dungeonborn, and had that moment of like, from a dungeon's point of view, what is this? And it just, yeah, just opened up
Yeah,
a whole
it was
new
enough
realm
of
of
a
ideas.
different hook to get you to say, okay, I want to read the beginning of this and see where it goes.
Hmm.
And it was well written well enough to, I want to see what the next thing is. I want to see what the next thing is. I want to see the
Hmm.
next thing. And before you know it, you're like, wait, when's the next book?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. All right, we've got another question from Brian. How do you get yourself into the writing space after a long day of work without getting into the doldrums? And
Music,
hey.
100% music. I tend to write with a particular playlist going on random. It's 269 songs, so I'm not going to hear the same song too often,
Hmm.
but they're all familiar to me. They range way over the spectrum of beginning to end of all kinds of different music. But that will break me out of the corporate mode into, okay, let's get the brain going into more creative. The music gets me going, and then the ideas start popping.
Yeah. Is there I don't know if you're using Spotify, but it does like a names your playlist for you, like a year-end wrap. Do you have like what's the general ambiance? Are you listening to like heavy metal or pop, or what's your
It runs from the 70s, so from 70s rock to 80s synth to Metallica, Seether, Five Finger Death Punch to Love and Rockets to all over the place.
Okay. Yeah. So not like one particular genre, but just like it's like Doug's favorite songs through the years.
Yeah. It's called My Likes.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah, I love it. All right. It looks like Kyle is writing this isekai series involving humans becoming mythical characters. So Kyle, let us know when that's out, because
Yeah,
I think you're
seriously.
going to have a big audience. Yeah. Yeah. All right. What book have you read recently that you would want added to Pop Pop's TBR?
There's a book that I think gets nowhere near the recognition it deserves, and it's called Freshman Drive. It's by Xander Boyce and Ryan DeBruin, and it's a sports lit RPG
Hmm.
about set in college basketball. And I absolutely hate basketball. It is a sport I detest, want nothing to do with it, and it actually made me care about the sport of basketball while I was reading the book. It's such great characters and such a great setting. There's enough mystery going on that keeps you hooked as to what's going on in the larger frame. Is this just a small thing? Is this a large thing? And characters making decisions that aren't necessarily the decisions that your typical lit RPG overpowered hero are going to make. Yes, I'm going to take all the power and I'm going to throw everything out of my way. These are characters making decisions of, what's the right thing to do.
Hmm. Can somebody, I don't have access to the chat, which is why I'm responding to you guys in there, but can somebody put the name of the book in the chat so we can all find it later? And what was it called again, Doug?
It's a Freshman Drive,
Freshman Drive. Okay.
although I think it might be Shooter Freshman Drive. I think Shooter is the series.
Okay. So that way, when we're at Dragon Con and we've got those bingo cards again, and we have to find an author with a sports themed lit RPG, we'll know. We'll have to go up to Brian and be like, hey, Freshman Drive, um, by
There
Ryan
you go.
DeBrun and Xander Boyce. Yep. Yep. Love it. All right, Doug, where can we find you after the podcast? Where are you lurking online?
Most likely, I'm in Facebook and Discord. Those are the two places I hang out.
Is there a
If you
particular lit RPG group that you are frequenting more often, or just kind of on all of them?
Yeah, whatever comes up in the feed.
Okay. Yeah. Fair. And I will attest that you're paying attention to your Discord messages. I think I messaged you about coming on for an interview, and 5 minutes later you're typing back. So yeah, definitely
Hey,
Discord
let's do it.
friendly. Yeah, just message. All right. Any last questions from the audience? Otherwise, we'll let you all get back to your Tuesday night. Okay. All right. Well, Doug, thanks for joining me. I really enjoyed your book. I'm excited to pick up the second one. And yes, Richie wants to know why you've got how do you have perfect hair?
Hairspray.
Product, Richie. Product. Yeah. Love it.
The fact that it's still here is my accomplishment.
I mean, at some point that does become a gold star, you know. So all right. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night. We'll talk to you in a couple weeks. I think it's going to be Pop Pop is going to be my guest star. We're still working out the exact date, but where you're going to get to listen to Pop Pop and I talk about some of our favorite lit RPG in the last year. So
Oh, that's
sorry,
gonna be
Richie.
fun.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.
Everybody.